the Batavia Park District Board of Commissioners regular board meeting for October 16th at 7:02. Shelley, please call the roll.
Riley?
Here.
Dorsey?
Here.
Gray absent, Callahan absent, Tillman.
Here, we have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any items to be added, removed, or changed from the agenda?
Yes, I would like to strike 12C, technology update on the state of the Batavia Park District.
12C.
And we will move that into next month.
All right. Move that into November. All righty. Entertain a motion to establish the consent agenda consisting of the approval of minutes for the regular park board meetings September 18th, executive session September 18th, minutes from a special board meeting from September 23rd, approval of paid expenditures, expense approval report, investment summary, income statement, and approval of purchases.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dorsey, second by Riley. Please call the roll.
Dorsey?
Aye.
Riley?
Aye.
Gray absent, Callahan absent, Tillman.
Aye. Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as established.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dorsey, second by Riley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, guest matters from the public. Do we have anybody? Looking right at you, Steve. Please step up to the podium.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Steve Larson. I'm a Batavia resident. Resident here for 26 years. And I am a member of the Citizens Committee for the Batavia Public Library, working on the referendum effort for the library. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with the referendum and answer any questions you might have. You all have a multi-page question and answer, or most of you have a question and answer fact sheet. It's got a lot of detail in there, probably more than you've seen. If you'd like, please review it or skim through it. And, if you got any questions on that after I meet with you tonight, I got my phone number on the front page there. You can give me a call or text me. If you want a yard sign, you can also text me or call me. The library board adopted a question, put on the ballot, adopted an ordinance in July for a rate request, a 7-cent rate request to increase their limiting tax rate from 0.37 to 0.44. They also have building bonds that were issued in 1998, 1999 to build the library. Those bonds are expiring on December 1, 2018, and the tax rate for those bonds is 7 cents. So the net effect of, if the referendum is approved, there would be no tax rate change because of that. The library had developed a capital asset plan in 2017, much like you probably have your capital asset plan, your 5-year plan. You probably update it every year, a couple of years. The library, this is their first plan thorough plan that they've done, and I had an architect engineering firm look at all the major components of the building. You know, the roof, the outside site elements, parking, sidewalks, mechanical, windows, inspected them, and then also looked at the useful life of those components in determining what the capital asset plan would be. And the conclusion was that they would need to spend up to $2.8 to $3 million over the next 5 years. Some of those replace carpeting. I don't think they've ever replaced carpeting in the library. You've seen the parking lot just got finished, but there's roof that will need to be addressed here soon. There's issues with the windows when they originally put in. That will be a substantial amount. There's some mechanical aspects. And then the rest of the capital asset plan amounts to about $2.2 million plus over the next 10, 15 years. Funds will also be used for collections, programs, services, that sort of thing. The library, just for a matter of information, your park district, you have ability to issue non-referendum bonds. You have a debt service extension base, which gives you help in addressing your capital needs. Library districts in Illinois don't have any non-referendum ability. They don't have any debt service extension base. So they would either have to ask for a bond issue for those kind of things or save up enough money to address it. They don't have enough money to do those, to take care of all those items. They do have a special reserve fund, and but it's not sufficient. They've been setting aside 2 to 4% out of their regular budget, but it's still not adequate to keep that building whole. That building was built in 2000, 2002 for about $11 million. Today, the replacement cost would be over $20 million. Geneva's building a new library. It's about the same square footage. It's about $22 million. So we have a major investment over there on the corner, and this referendum, if it's approved, will help keep that library going for a long time. So happy to answer any questions you might have. And if you don't, you can always call me. Got my phone number there.
For the people watching, is there any way to get in touch with you and your group as far as any questions they might have or any support they might want to give or anything like that? Is there a website or anything that you can refer them to?
Yes, there is a website. The library website has lots of information on it, and it has that capital asset plan on the website. And I think the Q&A is probably on the website as well. And everybody should have got this newsletter maybe a week or two ago, and there was, so they're planning to send out another one. But and my phone number is 630-215-9246. That's my, call me. I'd be happy to. I'm not on the board. I'm not a staff person, but I'm a former public finance advisor. I'm retired, so I know quite a bit about this stuff. So.
Great. Anybody have any questions?
Sorry, I'm not up to speed on everything here. So with the increase in the taxes, can you just briefly go over what that money is going to raise, or what that increase is going to be, and what you can attack, in the next couple of years?
Right. The ballot wording will show that the 7 cents will amount to at least $650,000. We don't know what the EAV is for next year, but we think it's going to go up 2 or 3%. So it'll be at least $650,000 annually that we receive from 7 cents. And the library expects to spend or put aside $550,000 of that $650 each year for the next 5 years. And then for the following 5 years, they're anticipating $250 to $350 for capital replacements. The rest would either go into a reserve fund, or it would go for improve the services of the library. So a major component is of the $650 is at least for the first 5 years will be capital replacements, capital asset.
Which sounds like you'd be able to accomplish most of your goals in the next 5 years then.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I mean, the library is now like 16 years old. The building, it was finished in 2002. And buildings, the major components of the building start needing replacements from year 20 to year 30, year 35. So that's what's ahead for them in the next 20 years. So,
thanks.
The library's been a great partner to the Park District, so we do wish you well with the referendum.
I appreciate the time spent with you, and have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're under no obligation to stay, so I won't be offended. I won't talk about you until you leave. Yeah, just so you know. Thank you very much, Steve. Item number 7, matters from the commissioners. You guys got anything?
Not today.
All right, Kevin? We good?
We should have asked you yesterday.
Tomorrow? Because we're not be here tomorrow. It's either today or wait a month.
I'll save it for a month.
All right.
No.
Item number 8, we have a couple pieces of correspondence. A note of appreciation for sponsorship and guidance for the first annual Music Matters Summer Festival, and letter from the Park District Risk Management Association notifying the Park District of reimbursement of successful participation in Starfish Aquatics, which was always very successful. So
Yes, and we actually have our aquatic supervisor out here in the crowd.
fantastic.
The Park District benefited from a $2,900 reimbursement check
Nice.
with the 5-star audits. So congratulations to Brittany Bruno and the entire lifeguard staff at the quarry.
Yes, outstanding, outstanding. Item number 9, announcements.
Thank you. Was that just the wind blowing in the trees, or is there someone behind you? Swimming season has ended, but that doesn't mean all is quiet down at the quarry. Face your fears and experience the nightmares that await you. Head down Saturday, October 20th from 7 to 9 p.m. for our final night of Fright at Haunted Quarry, located at 400 South Water Street. Admission is $10, and this event is not suitable for kids 10 and under. And if you're interested in some spooky savings, check out our special event flyer for a special $1 off coupon. The Batavia Park District is excited to host the first annual Halloween house decorating contest. We want to see your scariest and most frightening house decorations this season by competing against other Batavia households to win Best Overall Theme or People's Choice. Judging for Best Overall will take place on Wednesday, October 24th between 6 and 9 p.m. And the People's Choice online voting will begin October 25th through the 30th on the district's Facebook page. The deadline to enter your haunted house of horrors is Tuesday, October 23rd, and there is just a $5 fee. And also, it's kind of crazy to believe, but it's not too early to start thinking about the holidays. We want you to experience all the magic of Batavia and save the date for the annual Celebration of Lights Festival on Sunday, November 25th from 5 to 7 p.m. You can be sure to check out the district website for the full festival schedule. And speaking of Celebration of Lights, we have expanded the schedule of events this year to include a new fundraiser for called Light Up the Gazebo for the Depot Museum. You can purchase 1 bulb for $10 or 3 for $25 and see how bright that we can light up the gazebo this year. If you want more details on that, visit BataviaHistoricalSociety.org to learn more, and all of the proceeds for that fundraiser go towards the Batavia Depot Museum expansion project. And of course, if you want any updates on fall programs or upcoming special events, definitely check out our website, which is bataviaparks.org, or you can give us a call at 630-879-5235. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10, staff reports. Any updates?
Mr. Eby.
I wanted to start first off by saying thank you to the rest of all of our staff for picking me up while I was on leave here the last couple of weeks. We launched 2 of our major projects, 2 of the biggest projects we've done for years and years, the East Side Center parking lot and the preschool playground, especially thanks to Eric and his team that have done a lot of work that would have been mine, and he did it plus all his other stuff. So I truly appreciate everything they were able to do. If you've been by over at the east side, it is a flurry of activity. And they're going crazy. They had they had a semi-good week and then a bad week of weather, and now we've got a good full week of dry weather, and they are really flying in there. They've got 3 or 4 different trades going. The excavators are going, and the electricians are in there, and the paving guys are trying to get it all staked out and ready to go. And on the other side of the building, the folks that are putting in the new playground are getting that excavation all underway, and it is a mess. We have Steve and his recreation team were able to create a system of getting the kids in and out of the buildings safely through some walkways that Eric's guys put up our event fencing. That stuff's proving to be really, really handy for a lot of things.
We need a patent to that event fencing.
Yeah, it's paying for itself, no doubt. So we're still, I think we're probably a tad behind because of the weather that they ran into, but they're going to be proof rolling the first big section of the parking lot, hoping to get it approved and then into the paving schedule. So we'll hopefully get some actual blacktop down in the next week or so. The other thing that's been happening really kind of quietly under the radar is the asbestos mitigation is taking place in 111 and 115. They will be wrapping that up tomorrow, and we have to wait for all the clearance paperwork to go through our environmental engineer and their testing service. And in the later, we'll be approving that demolition bid, so we'll be ready to rock when it's time. So, yeah, things are really rolling.
Yeah. Thank you.
And welcome back, Jim.
Yes.
So the big thing this time of year for finance is obviously the budget. Fortunately for me, coming in around the middle of the process, there's a lot of structure already in place, and we've been following a lot of the same process. At the staff level, we had a discussion about our CIP program, which is our capital improvement on an operational level, where staff gets together and discusses, the needs for the next 5 years out to make sure we stay on top of, all of our larger infrastructure and operational needs. On top of that, we had a staff budget retreat where we talked about potential items for the next year, both revenue and expenses. As Alice and I have been discussing, there's a lot of unique situations in the next year or two coming up that are our cost drivers, honestly. But fortunately, with the help of everybody else, we've been able to put together a budget that shows positive trends in both revenue and expenses year over year. That'll be coming to you guys next week before the special meeting on October 30th.
Cool. Thank you.
I'd like to let everybody know that is when the weather starts to dip into the freezing temperatures, we start a process of winterizing our external water lines. There'll be drinking fountains, irrigation. That'll happen over the course of the next week and a half. We're going to save the fountain for last because the fountain is protected by the pump house and there's a heater in there. So we have a little longer time. But that is going to be coming soon, and I've been in touch with our athletic affiliates, and they're aware of it. The most exciting news I have to share with you is the Mill Creek Barn was recently painted. Allison is going to show some pictures in her report, and I'm very pleased with the contractor. They were very easy to work with through the entire process, and they did a phenomenal job. So just it really helps the way things look out at that park, and some of the pictures are pretty cool. So I'm excited for you to see it.
Nice.
Thank you.
And what people don't know is that you always include hints on the bottom of yours, and I tell you what, this one hint about the cell phones is fantastic. Because I work on cars all the time in my garage, and the first thing I do is pick up my phone. I got grease all over my phone.
Yeah.
He's saying put just a simple Ziploc bag for your phone. It's so simple that I did, love it.
Well, work for cooking too.
Yeah, I work for cooking too, but I don't do much of that. So.
Grilling.
Thank you for
Grilling. Yes.
He's a brilliant man. Brilliant
I tell
man.
you, simple things.
Tough act to follow, Steve.
No.
You got this.
Switch chairs. Can we switch chairs? We'll talk about that. The big thing we have is Haunted Quarry. I know Katie mentioned it. The 20th is our next one, but we had very successful on the 13th. Hats off to Brittany. She does an amazing job. We had about 200 people. We had about 40 volunteers. The makeup artists were amazing. It's a legit haunted house. This could pass off as something real big, and she did a great job coordinating that, and we look forward to another successful one on the 20th, so swing on by. Construction. Evie kind of touched base on it, but another group that's doing phenomenal are the teachers. They're out there with the kids, and they just have a smile on their face every time they're talking to the parents. The parents are kind of absorbing that as well, so they do, hats off, great job. Katie got some emergency signage for me, rec staff helping do traffic, so we're all on board, and it's going very well. Co-rec volleyball has started. We had 10 teams. We actually had a couple teams that wanted to come in after, but 10's all we can, so that's a very popular program. Again, this is the Brittany Bruno show, Mom and Son Night. Mom and Son Night was very successful, sold out. We'll continue doing that. Everything we've gotten back is very positive, so we'll look to see what we can do to, again, we'll bring it back next year, of course. BYF, their last day will conclude the 20th.
Again, another successful program. We have some night games coming up this week, so check it out. I know Thursday is a big one. It's on the turf. We had 24 kids registered for Club Fun, which is a couple of kids above our average. So again, Becca does that, very successful. And staff's just been working on 50th anniversary programs. We have our next guy coming up soon. We want to go back to some of the vintage programming, so we got a couple cool things, including a disco night. So bust out your disco clothes, be a fun way. Should be a good time.
I won't tell you whether or not I still have any of my clothes.
You just did.
I won't tell you if I have any. I may not.
I think the museum's going to have a 50th anniversary exhibit, so if you want to donate any of those old clothes.
I'm not saying if I
just saying.
have it. But if some show up in an extra tall.
My powder blue. The puka shells.
Exactly.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're going strong, finishing up all of our Halloween promotions and just heading straight into the holidays. Of course, anytime we have a new program, we definitely give it a little bit more attention. And so that Halloween house decoration contest is brand new this year. How that came about is every year, I think this is the 4th year, we've hosted a holiday house decorating contest. And a lot of people are asking on social media, like, could you do a Halloween one? And we have actually completely blown all the holiday house decorating contest numbers. We have 16 houses already signed up for the Halloween one, which is crazy. So that's going really well. And then other than that too, for Celebration of Lights Festival, we have gotten 25 local businesses and organizations that have signed up for the Christmas tree lane that's part of the Celebration of Lights Festival. So we're looking forward to working with them. And just a reminder to the public too, voting for People's Choice for your favorite tree begins on November 19th on the district Facebook page. But other than that, we're just kind of getting our plans together for 2019 as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have Amy Sarr over here for Human Resources. She's got a report as well.
Well, good evening to everyone. Thank you for having me. And I've been working closely with Katie Drum to help fill the 2 positions that we have available for the marketing department. So our graphic designer and our marketing coordinator position. So we have some great candidates that we've been speaking to. So we hopefully should have a new hire for both of them pretty soon. Also have been working with Catherine O'Connor with HR Source, so she'll be presenting today on our compensation study that was completed in June. And also we will be working on our policy handbook and manual with Shelley and Allison and I with HR Source as well.
It's mentioned in here how many people applied for those positions, which is outstanding. It's an amazing number of people, which just is indicative of, obviously the word is out that it's a great place to work. Otherwise, you wouldn't get all these people trying to, sign up
Top
to
workplace
work.
in Chicagoland, I understand.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I can't wait to find out if we make it a 3rd year or not.
Yeah. Well, the word is already out that it's happened twice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
otherwise, you wouldn't get,
How many
the
get
number.
these people?
I couldn't find it, but it's a lot. It's almost 100, right? Yeah,
We've
between
had
2
quite a
positions.
few. We have great partnerships with the Chamber too. They've been really great in posting our positions and partnering with us. So we did have a really great turnout. So I'm excited to hopefully have a hire with Katie here soon for you.
Great.
Oh, I noticed, Stephen, you lost Nick Margot.
We did. We lost him. He got a full-time position at Oaklawn.
So you're going to fill that position with another, or what?
We're looking to do a couple creative things, still get the help that all rec staff needs. We're kind of redoing the job description. Right now, Nick was just specifically for athletics, but we felt that rec staff needs help in general. So we're kind of looking at it and weighing all our options.
So instead of replacing that exact position, it's going to be replaced with a recreation intern.
Okay.
So it's a cost savings to the district, but it also lends itself support to all the rec supervisors.
Especially during our busy times.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you. Item number 11, Executive Director's Report.
Ah, yes, lights, camera, action. All right.
Get myself comfortable for
That's
this.
right. Let's need some popcorn. All right. Oh, I don't have the clicker. You
Just
got
go
the
like this,
clicker.
go. Click, click.
There's no place like home. My shoes don't work. All right, next. All right, just this last Friday, the Parks Department, Eric leading the charge, hosted the Quarry Cleanup Day. We do this twice a year. We do it in the spring and in the fall, but spring usually gets rained out. So we really do look forward to the fall. If you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, that's just an example of the debris that gets collected on a day like this. So HC Storm School, those are the kids that you see there in that picture, and they love it. You see some garbage picker-uppers that you usually see at Windmill City Fest. No metal detectors, but we do that exercise. And just a bunch of big smiles on the kids' faces. They go home and tell mom and dad, you know, mom and dad say, gosh, they can't wait till the quarry's full of water again to go swimming. So it's great PR all around, and it actually serves a great purpose for us too. Next. As Mitch explained, we are knee-deep in budget, so we've been working on capital improvement plans, capital development plans, our operating budget, and we've been taking everything with a fine-tooth comb, you know, double-checking, triple-checking all of our numbers, doing a lot of cost containment, and we really are excited to pitch the operating budget to you in 2 weeks. So we will make sure that you have a document electronically. We're not going to kill a tree or a bush, but electronically we will email it to you so that you'll have it at your disposal. All right, take a good look at this picture. You might think it's grainy. It's actually how bad the paint job is on the barn. So this barn is actually owned by the Batavia Park District. It's South Mill Community Creek Barn. This is actually the landmark for many of the people that live in Geneva, but also in Batavia Park District boundaries. This is the barn that they use as a landmark to tell people to turn into their subdivision. So as you can see, it needed dire need of a paint job. And next slide, please. Lo and behold.
Wow.
And that's, and I'm not, you know, playing with Photoshop here, but this clearly, it's a remarkable difference. And Eric and Gary Motika were able to find a painter that could actually replicate that logo and refresh it and touch it up. Next picture, this will be a before and after.
Oh, wow.
And pretty zany, but you can see it's just a little bit different perspective from the photo lens, but a night and day difference, even a deeper red, a richer red.
I like the white crosses on the door.
Yeah, it's really neat. See those little touches make a big difference.
Yep,
So.
they do.
And one last photo, really cool perspective from up above. Kind of shows you how bad our roof needs to be fixed. But that's just that perspective.
Who jumped that high to get that picture?
Me.
Came down on your head.
That's how you hurt your hip, right? All right, next. Now we're going to switch gears. Now we're heading into the other side of town, the East Side Community Center. If you haven't had a chance to zip by there, you may not recognize it. Camp Hall is to the right, and the East Side Community Center New Horizons Preschool is to the left, and Music Matters is in the way back there. So as you can tell, we are preparing for the infrastructure right now. Next. So this is the east side of the East Side Community Center. So nothing looks like what it used to. You know, we've removed trees, we've demoed the 2 houses, and you can see the event fencing there to the right. Next. And here's our entryway. So, you know, we keep reminding even our neighbors in the background there that this is all temporary, and to really focus on the big picture, you know, we put the park in parking lot, and it's going to be a gorgeous parking lot. You know, we have implemented a lot of landscaping into this parking lot, into the plan, and there's going to be a beautiful area where people that are getting married at Shannon Hall, the banquet facility, they can take wedding pictures by pergola in our parking lot. So really, we're going to make it a destination campus. Next. So these are 2 pictures side by side to give you a true feel for how our staff is best accommodating. So to the right, this is our makeshift playground for New Horizons. Since play is a huge part of the curriculum at New Horizons, Lori McDonald has been working closely with Eric Locker and his staff on trying to make it as feasible as possible, where the kids can still get that outside time and still recreate as much as possible. Also to the left, you'll see here, that's the chute that was created as a safety haven for the little ones when they're crossing the road. I'd also like to give kudos to the police department. They have provided us with a community service officer, and so thank you, Batavia Police. We really appreciate your support because the pickup and drop-offs can get a little crazy, as Steve Golombieski can attest. He's done a great job of staying positive for staff and leading by example on how he wants them to react to this as well. And I'm going to end on this note. Coming attractions, we mentioned it before, but Haunted Quarry, as a tour guide this last weekend, I did an informal surveying of people, finding out who had been to Haunted Quarry before. When I found out that they had been to Haunted Quarry, one of the very last things I asked them is what they thought, and they all said that this one wins the cake in terms of costuming, props, themes. We had Paul Mitchell Cosmetology College. They're doing the theatrical makeup. We ended up being the benefactor of costumes and props from a family in Elburn that had done it for 10 years and decided that they no longer wanted to do it anymore, and they had a fire sale, and we benefited from it tremendously. So,
Nice.
so if those of you at home, you only have one more weekend, and that's this weekend, to check it all out. You have 2 hours to do it. All right, and that is a wrap.
Thank you. Any questions on the executive director's report? All right. Item number 12A. Information about our full-time compensation study. Would you like to walk us through the beginning?
Did you want?
This is Catherine O'Connor with HR Source. She took the lead on our project that we did in June, and she will give some of the survey data that composed our study, and she'll be able to answer any additional questions, and I also have some data if you have any follow-up questions.
Welcome.
Thanks. Like Amy mentioned, I'm Catherine O'Connor. I work for HR Source. This is not my first time here. You may have actually remembered me working with an organization called Management Association, or Management Association of Illinois. We've simply rebranded. I was involved in your compensation projects that happened 5 and 6 years ago. We typically say that a good compensation study has a shelf life of about 5 years. And right on schedule, I was contacted by the Park District to go ahead and renew the plan. Now this time around, we specifically focused on the full-time positions, 28 of them to be specific. And we started the project by asking the HR staff to make sure that all job descriptions were updated, current, and valid. And they did a really great job making sure that all the jobs here were well defined on those documents. Part of my process included making sure that all jobs were appropriately classified as exempt or non-exempt from overtime. Looking through that part of the process, we didn't find any jobs that were recommended for a status change, so everything was great in that particular section, which means we then moved on to our market benchmarking study. So what I then did is I took the job descriptions that were collected from the Park District. By becoming familiar with those individual jobs, I then sourced comparable survey data that was available out in the market. Now, I used 6 surveys to be exact. And at the onset of the project, we decided that Park District specific jobs like the recreation supervisors, the executive director, those positions were going to be compared to Park District data only. And when we were making those matches, we were doing it based on similar agencies, specifically with regards to EAV and budget size. Now, for the other positions at the Park District, those that it could extend outside of the Park District industry, for example, finance jobs, IT jobs, HR jobs, we approached it with the philosophy of using 75% Park District data, and then 25% for-profit data. I'm sorry, 75% Park District data, 12.5% nonprofit data, 12.5% for-profit data. And we felt that that accurately reflected the pay philosophy of the district. Now, I compiled all of the data, and with that data, I created pay ranges for each of the jobs. I created 15 pay grades to be exact. What that means is every job that was included in the study has been linked to a pay grade, and each pay grade has an identified minimum, midpoint, and maximum value. Now, when using those pay grades, if it's the intention to match the market in terms of pay, then you should be administering to the midpoint of each of those ranges. The maximum of the pay range has been set at a rate 20% higher than the midpoint, and the minimum has been set at a rate 20% lower than the midpoint. So that range is there, it exists, to provide flexibility when you're making pay decisions. Now, as part of the project, I also mapped employees' pay rates to the newly created pay ranges. And this gives us an indication of if the park district has employees with pay rates that fall within the range. The outcomes of that analysis were very, very positive. In fact, what we found was that all but one employee fell within their pay range. And the one employee that needs an adjustment, the adjustment is of the tune of just slightly over $1,000 to bring that employee into the range. Now, if any of you may have remembered my project delivery from 5 and 6 years ago, the message was much, much different. In fact, the park district was severely lagging the market in terms of pay, especially in certain departments. We have really found that over the years, the park district has made some really good decisions fiscally in terms of setting new hires' pay rates, making appropriate adjustments, making sure that merit increases were appropriate as well, to really align back with the market. An indicator that we use is a term called comp ratio, and comp ratio looks at every employee's pay relative to the midpoint of their range. We looked at that figure for every single employee that was covered by these 28 jobs that were part of the study. And we did find some pay rates that were a little high within the range than others, some that were a little lower in the range than others, but when we added them all up, the average comp ratio for the park district was actually 99.4. Now, if every pay rate would have exactly been at that market midpoint rate, your score would have been 100%. So, to be honest, these are some of the most favorable project results that I have seen in a long, long time. It's a lot to be proud of. Now, in terms of implementation advice that I'm giving the park district, we've already talked a little bit about the one individual who's falling out of the bottom of the range. And to my knowledge and understanding, the park district is prepared to go ahead and make an adjustment to that individual. Also, what I'm encouraging is that there's an analysis done to make sure that employees are at the right placement within their pay range. So for example, if you have an employee who's been here long term and who's a really top performer in their role, if their pay rate is low relative to their pay range, that's someone who should be flagged for future increases as funds are available. Also, if you have employees who maybe are relatively new within their roles or slightly underperforming, if they're high within their pay range, that should also be an indication that that person should be flagged, and perhaps future increases should be, you might want to pump the brakes on some of those future increases to account for some internal equity there. So overall, the project results were really, really favorable. It shows that as an organization, you're making really wise pay decisions. You're paying rates that are comparable to the market, comparable to your peer organizations, and there's a lot to be proud of there. Any questions?
I always liked this study. I was here when we did the last one, and you're right, it was quite a bit different.
It's dismal.
Yeah, I like them because it goes back to why there's a lot of people that are looking for jobs here, because we pay competitively with the markets around us. We stay competitive. I really like the fact that there are pay grades in here that we don't have people in, because it creates an incentive for folks to say, you know what, I may be at the high end, but maybe I could just stretch myself and go into this new category, create a job for myself that isn't necessarily there. So I like the fact that we kept those in. I remember we had those before, so I'm glad we kept those. So thank you. Like I say, I've always liked these reports because they really tell us a lot about what's happening as far as our numbers are concerned. We see a big, huge number. This helps break things down a lot for us. So.
Great. Any other questions?
So on the one page, you have the people that are over or minimum, under midpoint, over maximum. So for the under midpoint, there's 17 people, and then there's a number. So that just means they're just a little bit under the midpoint that's published down here, right? That they might be 5,000 or might be whatever.
Correct.
But they just haven't gone into the minimum or the minimum yet. So it's in that 20% range. Is that right?
Right. So they're going to be in the lower half of the range if they've been identified as being under the midpoint. There are some detailed payroll analysis reports that are part of this project, and they've been given over to the executive team. So they know very clearly who each of those individuals are, what their job title and department is, so that when it's time to do that further analysis, to substantiate if in fact those employees should be under the minimum, they can go ahead and use those reports as part of their process. Right, just because someone's pay is under the midpoint doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It could be someone who's new in their role, they're still learning, maybe they were hired recently, and that with a regular adjustment or two, then their pay will be up to the midpoint.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thanks.
It's a great report, thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. It's been great working with you.
Oh, you too.
Moving forward, item number 12B, Recreation Program Assessment.
Yes.
Did you want me to?
I didn't know which way to turn.
Giving you a neck of work.
Exactly.
So, the word legend only begins to describe. Bobby Nance has been in the field for about 15 years and she's done it all. Programming, teens, special events, you name it, she's done it. She's presented at national rec conferences, the IPRA conferences, Professional Development School, in 24 other states and provinces in the United States and Canada. It wasn't until about 4 years ago in Oak Park that she found her true passion, and that's in the area of strategy, data, and innovation, which leads us to her being here tonight. Bobby Nance has met with us a couple times, me and Allison, in regards to our strategic plan, and even the first couple meetings we found that it's going to be a great fit. So without further ado, welcome Bobby Nance.
I feel like I need to stand.
Thanks so much. I know this is my first time here at the board meeting and meeting the commissioners. So thank you so much for having me today, and to the staff for having me. I just wanted to give you a quick introduction to both the project that I'm working on with the staff and also myself, although I don't think I can do a better job than Steve. So you can flip to the next. Go ahead and flip over. So just, a year and a half ago, as Steve had mentioned, I have 15 years working in Parks and Rec. A year and a half ago, I formed my own consulting and training company called Recreation Results. It's really focused in 3 areas is really where I work. So I'm kind of known as the Park and Rec data nerd and proud of it. I also focus a lot on strategy and innovation, and the other side of what I do is really focused on customer experience. And I'm really excited about this project because it actually nails all three. So there's a lot of work with data. It's using that data to shape strategy, and that strategy is used to better serve customers through programming. So this is right up my alley, something I'm really excited to work at. So you can go ahead. So all the stuff Steve said.
Right?
So, but more enthusiastically than even I would have presented it. So yeah, so most of my work though, just so you know, my background is in Parks and Rec, but as you mentioned specifically, I've done a lot of work with working with data and known for being a translator between how to make the numbers talk to people persons, and how do we make those two worlds mesh together. So the project that I'm going to be working with the staff on is a recreation program assessment to be part of a strategic plan as it relates to recreation programs. And so instead of I think doing just kind of evaluating, hey, here's where we're at, and spitting out a report, I kind of think it's really important, and my process will really involve emphasizing a few things beyond just giving you a report of saying, hey, here's where we're at. I really want to do work that groups are able to actually use, so not just have information of where you're at, but have it help you tell you where to go. I also think it's really important to not just be able to say, hey, here's where we're at this point in time, but also in the future, as you've made changes or implemented some of those recommendations, have the opportunity to go back and evaluate how you actually performed. Did those make the impact we were wanting them to? So making sure that this process is not just, once again, telling us where we are, but also giving us tools to be able to measure how far we've come after the project is over. And then just my personal kind of intermission is always to get people in Parks and Rec to really see the value of data and show that, like I said, that connection between data and people, and how that's so important for our industry, and especially to the staff here at Batavia Park District. So the project that we're going to be working on is going to be going through, kind of narrowed it down to a 4-step process, and we're really just in the first step right now, which is just doing a ton of data collection and analysis. So I'm at the point now where I've exported a lot of information from the registration and program management software for the Park District, and have started analyzing that. So you already had a lot of great information about programming and what your customers wanted from your recent community survey. So that was sort of people telling you what they thought in a survey, and now we get to mesh it up and see how well it aligns with your actual customer behavior based on not just, hey, here's what I said I wanted, but here's what I've actually gone out and participated in and signed up for, and actual behavior in that way. I'm also looking at demographic and other data in terms of consumer behavior, just to see, once again, how that lines up with the survey and sort of what the program information is telling us, and got to do all kinds of fun things like map out all the customers within the community, and really start to dig into what the data kind of tells us about what your customers want and who they are as well. So what we'll do, starting next week, we'll begin meeting with the staff to kind of show them, hey, here are some of the results and insights, and I'm hoping some of the things will be things you get to pat yourself on the back for. Some of them will be things that you'll be like, oh, okay, we still got some work to do, that means you have good data usually when there's a little good and a little to work for. Well, the other aspect of what we're doing too is developing that framework to create that strategy, and then also create a process or a tool that'll help this process be repeatable. So with this framework, part of the discussion will not just be about what's the data tell us, but also what are our priorities for this organization as it relates to what kind of programs we should actually be offering, and looking at that from both an operational stance, so things like facilities and budget and how many people actually register and kind of the operational needs, but also looking at it from a mission-driven, service-driven perspective as well. So who should the organization be serving, what kinds of activities maybe should be taking a priority over others, and kind of looking at that in tandem. And then the third step, once we've kind of nailed down those strategies, will be to actually run the current programming mix through that framework to sort of see where things land. So see what kind of mix in programming there is right now. And that'll tell us both how we're doing currently, but also give us some direction about potentially where we want to go, which will lead to the last step, which will be kind of a report and recommendations that will be shared with the staff and all of you as well, just in terms of what are next steps and also what are some targets to try and strive for as you roll out that plan. So just to give you a super quick example, the framework we're keeping kind of fluid to sort of see what comes out from the data and also the conversations with staff before saying exactly this is the way it's going to be. But as I mentioned, it would be a mix of how well programs are meeting operational priorities and then also meeting the mission and service-driven priorities that the organization might have. So if we were talking about, and this isn't necessarily this agency, but just a generic park and rec agency, and we're talking about swimming and aquatic programs that might be taking place, if we mapped those out on this framework, we might have things like private diving instruction, which can be a good moneymaker, but isn't so usually part of an organization's mission, although it does provide some physical activity, so there could be a little bit to that. Other programs like swim lessons might score really high on serving a mission in terms of serving youth, providing a life-saving skill, providing physical activity. At some agencies, that does really well for an organization in terms of the operations, can be a big financial boost. For others, it's a drain. And so we'll kind of just talk through some of those things and what this organization's priorities are and where the current programs fall. And with that, we'll be able to actually provide some recommendations. So for example, if something is fantastic operationally and totally meets your mission and your values and the strategies of where you're trying to go, then obviously that's something we want to not just sustain, but potentially do more of that kind of stuff. On the flip side, if it's not doing any of those things, I think it's important to just take a conscious look and decide, does this really make sense for this to be where we spend our time? And then most likely a lot of it's going to kind of fall in the middle. So if something, I'm not saying that, hey, diving instruction, if that was a program you offered, or something similar to it, if that's bringing in revenue that can help subsidize other kinds of programs, then it can make a lot of sense to keep those as part of a program portfolio. But you want to make sure that if you're doing it because it makes money, that it actually does that for you. So it's just about kind of being conscious about that. Or likewise, if things maybe aren't as easy or as positive when it comes to some of those operational priorities, you want to make sure it's definitely meeting the mission and the strategy. So not just saying well, it serves people are having fun, people get exercise. There's lots of things that are going to come into play when setting these priorities to make sure that we're just, to me, it's about being really conscious that we're doing things for the right reasons. So knowing that we all have limited resources and there's limited time and facilities. So I think also I talked about my desire to make sure that this is something that's repeatable. So I'm hoping this framework won't just be something that we use to evaluate the current programs, but it can actually be a tool that as staff in the future start to think about, oh, well, this might be a new program we could offer. They could actually kind of run it through this framework and figure out where that new program idea might actually fall to make sure that, if it, depending on where it falls, make sure that it's hitting some of those deliberate points we want to make sure that the strategy says that we should be hitting. So just to kind of wrap up, like I mentioned, we're still very much in the early stages of this, but just know that the recommendations that we're working towards in the next time you will see me, my goal is just to make sure that what I show you is really based on data. It's all about focusing on what the strategy is for this organization. And then, as I mentioned, all of that, not just saying, here's what the numbers say, but it's really just designing the whole focus with what's going to help you serve your community better. I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Yeah, I love data. The bigger the data, the better, because we can learn way more. I've been a proponent of that for a long time, but I really think we need to add a fifth dimension to this. You had the 4 different steps. We need to add a fifth one, and that is training on how to use the data properly. You know, I mean, we have all sorts of data, but that doesn't mean everybody knows how to use the framework that you're creating and so forth. So yes, go through all these different steps and include the assessment and all that, but also let's learn how to use it, and then all the new programs, like she's saying, put it through. But it doesn't do any good if we just, well, I got this box of data, but I'm not really, I'll push it to the side. Let's learn how to use all the data that we have, because we have a ton. We have years and decades worth of information that we probably are only scratching the surface of, unless we can get some sort of tool that we can really dig deep. So.
Well, just today we found out that 6.5% of everybody that registered the last 2 years registered the day of the event.
Yeah, that's always been a thing. Which it's funny you mention that, because in the staff report, our website numbers are down, but that is to that exact point, is because folks aren't going to start registering for winter programs until they see snow on the ground. And by then, you know, why is the class full? Well, I don't know. You waited until 3 days before the class. Right. You know, but it's that kind of stuff that says maybe marketing needs to change, maybe whatever needs to change to say, you know, get these numbers pushed back. So. Great.
Yeah, that'll be a big discussion point when I meet with the staff on Monday when we start there, and then we do have a meeting scheduled when we roll this out to staff that I'll make sure also includes that aspect. But I'm huge on implementation, so I will probably over-emphasize that point towards the end.
That's great.
And I'm in the, even though I've worked across the country, I'm located here in the Chicago area too, so it's great to be local as well.
And I wanted to let the board know too that, you know, I felt it was really important to pluck out the recreation portion of the strategic plan, because there are strategic planners like Barbara Heller that we had hired 6 years ago that that can do a cookie cutter version of what we would want. But I think what Bobby is doing is really digging into the detail of RecTrack, our registration software system, and digging into the heart of our needs assessment as well, and really getting customized information for us that tells our story and not just the story that anyone can tell.
Right.
Plus, she's a legend.
Well, that's what I heard. Anyway.
Yeah. Thought she was a myth.
Yeah.
That's right.
She's here.
Are you going to look at, as you're looking at different programs and enrollment, et cetera, are you going to look at the quality of the programs, or what's popular, what's trending?
Yes, so I have consumer behavior data a bit on what is trending. Another aspect of what I'll roll into the final presentation or kind of report as it relates to staff are actually, I do a lot of work with consumer trends, which aren't necessarily like, oh, pickleball is really exciting right now. You know, that's kind of the stereotype right now. But so not necessarily an actual sport, but these trends are more based on here's what's determining how consumers, how they're spending their free time and their free money, or disposable income. So that's really what a lot of programs and what we're trying to get people to do. So it's not just incorporating the subject of the class, but also I'm planning on giving a little bit of insight into how you market a class or frame a class to kind of fit just the way people want to buy things and how they want to participate and what attracts people to those kinds of events, whether they're Parks and Rec or what's going on down the road with another organization or what's going on with a private business too.
So will you be looking at the quality of the program, if it's meeting, for example, we have, there's the yoga's big. It's like every place has got yoga. We have yoga.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Why are the yoga places popping up? Are we serving, do we have the same yoga that's being offered at all these other places? Why are they going to other places and not here? You gonna be able to address that?
Well, within this project, I'll be able to look at any data we have in terms of program satisfaction as kind of part of that initial part. And then I would make an assumption, but don't want to steer staff this way, that when it comes to the strategy as it relates to like how we would evaluate the programs, that satisfaction with the service is as important as other things. So it may end up being, if that turns out to be the case, it may actually end up being a recommendation that a more kind of thorough customer satisfaction survey is created for the future, or I'll just have to look into that. But in the initial analysis stage, my goal is actually, let's look at the data that we have and see how people react to it, and then let me hear what questions you ask that we don't have the answers to, because that'll help us identify the gaps as part of the recommendations moving forward.
And Kevin, I think you bring up a great point, because something we've seen in the marketing surveys that we do, kind of like the post-evaluation or post-program evaluations, the number one complaint people have is our facilities. You know, they don't feel like this is the room that we actually do yoga in, and you know, and they feel like, you know, even though there are candles lit and you know someone sprayed you know, Febreze in the air to, you know, try to get the ambiance. Sometimes teacher Kathy will put a fan out, you know, just to create a breeze and do a meditation. But at the end of the day, you open your eyes, it's still a multi-purpose room where you can hear people trekking outside of it. And
You should let her put pictures up.
Run a little program.
But I think it will point to the fact that, you know, we are facility poor and programming rich, and some other interesting outcomes that might come up, be a part of this.
And Commissioner Riley, I was talking to Katie, we have tons of information on our survey gizmo that we can look into that too and incorporate that as well, so that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time right now for you to assess, not only use the data that we had previously, but also with the community needs assessment.
Absolutely.
It will help you analyze what people want, what we've been providing, and then also a satisfaction level, because if somebody's not satisfied with the class, they're not going to, you know, continue to go to that class. So I'm really excited to see, you know, what your recommendation and your analyses are, but also how we're going to take it into 2019, 2020, and the years going on, because, you know, we had our retreat that was very exciting for all of us. We came up with some really cool ideas. So this is just another step that'll help us get to where we all want to be. So yeah.
We're getting excited all over again.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
All righty. Item number 12D, Annual Operations Report, Hall Quarry Beach. Talk about legend. She's all over today's program.
And she is our Bruce the Spruce Award recipient, which is like our Academy Award.
I mean, it just keeps coming.
I want to thank you guys for having me here today. So I've had a great 3 seasons at the quarry. I take great pride in supervising and training staff that care so much about safety, customer service, and providing a fun experience. And I honestly can't do that with a lot of people, the leadership team, Gary, Kim, the rec staff. They help a lot, and I couldn't do everything without them, so I appreciate all of their help. Excuse me, sorry. We had a great year. We opened this year on May 26th. We were scheduled to be open for 86 days. Our close date was Sunday, August 12th. Same times this year, so we opened up at noon for the public, 11:30 for season pass holders. Really nice perk, and had a high, a lot of people used it basically on our survey that we sent out. They really enjoyed that 11:30 start time. Perfect. So this year with season passes, we sold 2,000, I can't read it from there, so I'll read it from here. 2,511 passes with a revenue of $97,709. So that is 5% sales from last year. So an increase. We sold just 1,319 passes sold during Aloha Week itself. So some highlights. We sold 11 more mid-season passes this year than last year, so that's something we started last year. So it is a small increase, but it's something I want to continue for next season as well. We sold 165 more passes during Aloha Week than last year. So people are really wanting and enjoying that week, so it's a great bonus for people who want to enjoy the Corey. Let's see, next page is good, perfect.
Ooh, cool.
Perfect, so we sold 18,897 day passes in 2018, and that's compared to the 17,555 passes in 2017. So our total revenue was $166,215. Some more highlights for you guys that I kind of found while doing my reports. We had 425 more non-residents than 2017. So I'd like to thank Katie and the marketing team we expanded our marketing efforts this summer, and that's a huge amount to increase in 2018, and I'm sure it will even increase more in 2019. And we also had 508 more non-resident group visitors. So we brought in a lot more camps this summer, which is really awesome and hope to continue next year.
You could use that picture as a trivia to find out what that symbol was in the background that you guys were talking about.
What symbol?
There's a symbol right above, right there. What is that symbol?
Is that a phone symbol?
See?
Is it a payphone?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Everybody Jeopardy over here. Oh, payphone.
Public telephone.
What's a payphone? I'm just kidding.
It's, you don't have to pay, it's free.
You're okay. One of the big highlights of the summer is we added a deep fryer at the Corey. Very exciting. So we added mozzarella sticks and french fries to our menu. We sold 57,851 in concession sales compared to 44,141 in 2017. So that is a 31% increase from last year. So
The deep fryer paid for itself over and over again.
Definitely, yes.
Let's get another deep fryer.
Some of our highest money makers and concessions, some highlights. Ice cream sold $12,740. Candy sold close to $7,000. Hot dogs also right under $5,000.
So were mozzarella sticks the most popular thing for people to purchase?
They weren't, but my next question. So how many mozzarella sticks do you guys think we sold this summer?
Any guesses?
4,562.
Whoa.
Whoa, that's a lot of steak. I'm going to say 1,278.
All right, any more guesses?
Ready?
Yeah.
Kevin?
Perfect. So we sold 1,051. So we sold a little over $4,000 in mozzarella sticks. So
I was literally 20-something off.
yeah.
And I was talking about the money
You win the show.
total.
Yeah. It probably went, fries was probably number 4, and then mozzarella sticks came right underneath in the top sellers for concessions. Perfect. Private rentals, so we had 22 rentals this summer. 8 private rentals, so that's in the evening from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. A manager is there and about 12 lifeguards. 3 tween nights, the Batavia Triathlon was also there, so they used our facility on Saturday and Sunday for the race. And then about 10 deck rentals. We had about 10 less than 2017, but I would probably say that was because we had a lot more non-resident groups coming in, a lot of camps and stuff like that were using our facility as a group instead of just the deck. Perfect, so attendance history. So right at the bottom we have 2018, little possibly off just because of internet and computers that go out sometimes at the Corey. So it's a little bit about 50-ish, a little bit more than last year. So we're at 28,855 for attendance this year. Perfect. So personnel at the Corey, we had 58 employees at the Corey, 32 were returning, 26 were new. We had 3 managers, John Robinson, Eric Haverkate, and Connor Aroney, and also 2 assistant managers. We had Bailey Zies and Alex Carius. So a great season, a lot of new employees, and hoping that they return next year. Starfish Aquatics, so that is who does our audits for the Corey. We had a great summer again. We had 2 4-star audits in June and July, and a 5-star audit in August. They did a great job in their skills. Almost every audit getting a 5-star rating on those. A lot of new staff, and I'm really impressed that they made their way to that 5-star, which is not everyone can get a 5-star, so that says a lot about them. Perfect. Awesome, swim lessons. The swim lessons was down about 10 students this year. I've had a couple of requests, and how I'm going to kind of improve that next year is maybe adding some preschool classes to the evening. We haven't offered that in the past, and just because of work schedules and you know, families and stuff like that, I'm going to be thinking about adding some preschool classes to increase those numbers.
I think that's a smart idea.
Yeah, very smart.
Awesome, so bottom line financials, we projected revenue to make $324,500. Our actual was $325,949. So our expenses was less than our projected, so our actual was around $371,327. Perfect. You want me to start? Are you good, Kate?
Yeah, I can go straight into marketing highlights unless you guys have any questions for Brittany right away. But so, of course, my favorite thing this year that we got to do was we got to give Chuck the Duck a facelift after almost 20 years.
Actually, body lift too.
And a body lift, yeah. He kind of like fluffed out. I actually have a little photo there of what Chuck the Duck used to look like. What kind of chicken do you call him, Allison?
San Diego chicken.
The San Diego chicken. And so we really wanted to create a new costume that looked like our cartoon Chuck the Duck more. And so Chuck the Duck, he made several appearances this summer. He was at the opening weekend, he was at 4th of July, and he also made an appearance at all 3 of our Corey special events and received a ton of positive feedback. And Brittany and I also came up with a plan on how to better care for the costume as well. Of course, you know, it's quite warm in the summer, people are sweaty, and also it's quite damp down at the quarry. And so we've come up with a new plan so that we can get another 20 years out of this costume as well, hopefully. So definitely too, I want to go through some of our top coupons and deals for the year. Our top coupon was the Fun Guide. So this year we did include a buy one, get one free in both our spring and summer brochure. That continues to be with one of our #1 redeemed coupons with 111 of those received this summer. And then also our top deal this summer was Groupon. Last summer Groupon merged with Living Social, and so that one continues to be our top seller. And the coupons themselves were down 15% this year. As Brittany mentioned, I think that as Aloha sale becomes more popular and more people hear about it, I think there's more and more people who take advantage of purchasing a season pass versus, you know, doing a daily admission sale and taking advantage of those coupons. And so I think that's part of what that is about. It's still a great promotion about the Corey, and so we'll continue to do those. However, deals were up, go back. Deals were up 21% this year, which is really fantastic. Actually, so Groupon, we did $13,272 this year versus $11,167 last year. And so we also work with Fox Valley Deals, which is a local deal company, and as well as Planet Cane for some in-kind advertising. And so overall, though, my plan is to continue to promote the Corey to a broader range so that maybe we can let more people know that we have such a unique facility. It's definitely, there's nothing really quite like it besides Centennial Beach and Naperville, and so trying to attract more people to come and make that make that drive out here. I know I live out in DeKalb. I have a ton of people ask all the time about the Corey, what it's all about. So kind of broadening our range a little bit. So I'm going to continue working in that direction. Some other updates too that I worked with Brittany on is, so just in the past few years, we started purchasing Corey merchandise. And so this year, we introduced a couple new items. So I was super excited about the inflatable duck. I thought he'd be a huge hit, and I think he was. Our pump squirters were also super popular this year, and so that resulted in an increase in the 11% of sales from last year. And then we also created some new signage that was placed around the quarry, as well as I think Brittany's team does an amazing job doing fun announcements, and I think they incorporated some of those into encouraging people to purchase those. And just to recap too, a big goal that we're trying to make happen for January 1st, 2019, I'm going to work with Steve and Brittany as well as Tiffany Green, our front office manager, to make our season passes available for online purchase. As it stands now, you have to actually physically come into our facility to get a season pass. And so we're going to try to figure out a way to make that possible. We think this will not only be better customer service to our residents, but also will increase our revenues as well. And as Brittany mentioned as well, we're going to definitely do our Aloha Week. To those watching out there, it's a flash sale, so it's a surprise. So just sometime in 2019 after January 1st, be on the lookout for our messaging. So, and then as I mentioned before too, we'll continue to look for other opportunities to have a broader reach within Northern Illinois. And then Brittany and I are hoping to do 3 special events once again at the quarry this season. That's it.
Nice.
Very good.
Any questions?
Yes, very nice.
Do you guys think that having the filtration and everything kind of helped sales this year or this season?
I think so. Brittany, you can definitely comment on that too, but I noticed we included some of the comments in the end of my report, but from some of the comments, there was definitely a lot of feedback about how much more clear the water looked. I know staff definitely noticed it too, but I think it had a really positive impact.
Yeah, it was great for the staff, and yeah, one of the first comments I read was the water was so much clearer this year, nice work. I think it will definitely increase sales for 2019 after they saw it this year.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it looks so much better in photos too, when you see photos reposted on Facebook or any kind of social media platform.
Clearer.
Yep, it doesn't look so murky, it looks crystal clear.
Well, and I would note too, the overall satisfaction from the survey we did at the end of the season, it was 98%, which is a 7% increase from last year. So that was really exciting to see.
I just want to say, you've done a terrific job over the last few years, especially with the awards that the lifeguards have won, and there's been, a few incidents where they've had to take action. They've done a terrific job, and it really reflects well, on you, your staff, and the way you train everybody.
Sure.
And it's a long summer, and as a 17, 18, 19-year-old, I'm sure that it's not the most riveting thing, but for them to stay focused and be watching the patrons is really good. So congratulations to that. It really shows you good management.
Thank you.
And then I do have a comment, which I know the one answer, but maybe think outside the box, is that why, and this is not for you, this would be for maybe our director or executive director, but why do some park districts keep their pools open through like September and ours closes in mid-August?
Okay, I know you said for me to think outside the box, and I can certainly color outside the lines. Staffing is a challenge, and we've wrapped our brains around how to address that issue when the majority of the people we hire are in college, and we do have high school kids, but the number of high school kids that we have that are still in training aren't quite ready. Oh, the number doesn't loan itself for us to extend that. We have talked about what it would look like if we hired more, hired adults. Adults aren't interested in lifeguarding, we found out. I know that there are, some community members that just say they don't want to get into a swimsuit once they're, once they're established, but they have lifeguarding experience. They're more interested in management, but not actual physically staffing it. So that's the number one reason, and we really have looked at every angle of the Rubik's Cube on that one.
And I don't know the answer, but from what you just said, is there a way to develop like a training program for those high school kids that say, look, you can stay on for another month, and maybe just on the weekends or in the evening, or because other folks have some sort of plan, like Geneva has that Sunset Park open late, and I think Aurora has the one over by the golf course that's extended out. And so, you know, it may not be like next year, but maybe you start to develop some of these, you know, I don't know how many you need for a shift, but because I see other parts, I mean, it's hot out, and so after school starts, and I'm driving around, I go, man, it should be nice to jump in something, you know, and so.
Yeah, and I think we're really just erring on the side of safety, especially since we are a beach and not a pool.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it just takes a lot
But think
of
about that, I mean, I know, it's, you know, it's 30 days, you know, you could possibly extend 30 days based on the weather. So, I mean, just keep thinking outside the box.
Thank you.
What 3 special events did you guys host?
Sure, so we did, I can't remember the order off the top of my head,
That's okay,
but
you don't have to worry about
we did
those.
Beach Ball Bonanza, so just family-friendly activities, kind of on the rest periods. We did Wacky Water Olympics, and then the last one was on the Friday before we closed. It was just like a so long, sweet summer, all really family-friendly crafts and games and stuff for families to enjoy together.
Have you guys ever considered an adult swim night where adults would go to the quarry and we could have like some kind of an event focused on adults?
Yeah.
Just as an idea. I'm sure there's some adults out there. If you like the idea.
Contact us with your ideas and themes.
Yeah. Something I can think about, definitely. Yeah.
Or it'd feel like a private party, right? Because there'd be adults only.
Right.
And then, you know, depending upon
Oh.
if the liquor license goes through, there's a lot of,
That's what, ooh.
Oh.
you know what I mean? There's a lot of potential there.
Something was working.
Yeah.
We even talked about like a adult volleyball league at the quarry and stuff like that.
I
so stuff
actually,
like that.
yeah, I've actually, at the farmer's market, it's so funny that you bring that up. Every time I go, I've bumped into random people, and 3 people this past summer have asked me personally if I know of any volleyball like leagues in the area. I'm always like, why are people asking me about volleyball? So that would be something for me to be able to say, hey, I know of something. Finally.
Anything else? Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you for the feedback, board.
Okay. Item number 14A, approval of resolution number 250, estimating the amount of taxes to be levied for tax year 2019. Is this your show or?
I defer to
Okay.
Colin.
So this is the resolution in front of you tonight. The ordinance will be presented in the November meeting. This is just an estimate of the taxes to be collected to fund next year's budget. There are some changes from the prior year that I can take you guys through real quick. We've moved some of the levy from the general fund to the recreation fund. That's honestly because of rate limits on the general fund, and it's to accommodate the changing way we're funding our capital development model like we discussed at our retreat. There's a slight increase to the levy in the liability fund to make sure it maintains compliance with our fund balance policy. Beyond that, it's a CPI increase in compliance with the property tax extension limitation law that we're subject to, with a multiplier to make sure we capture new construction. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
And just for the viewing public, this is something we do every year to make sure that we're compliant, that we have to go through these exercises for estimating the taxes that we're about ready to levy.
And transparency in government.
Right.
That's a good point.
And there will be a truth in taxation hearing prior to the November meeting as well.
Right.
In that same vein.
Excellent. Any questions? In that case, entertain a motion to approve resolution number 250, estimating the amount of taxes to be levied for the tax year 2019 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dorsey, second by Riley. Please call the roll.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Riley.
Aye.
Gray absent. Callahan absent. Tillman.
Aye, motion carries. Excellent. Item number 14B, award of contract for demolition. 2 places on South River Street.
Yeah, if there's any questions, this is a pretty cut and dried operation. We put a bid spec out in September and took bids, opened on the 25th. Had a good number of bidders this time, which is a nice thing to see. A1 Fowler, an organization out of South Elgin that have done several of the houses that we've had, that we've taken down there over the last 5 or 6 years, was again the low. I discussed the bid with them, and they're very confident that it's good for them. As I mentioned earlier, all of the mitigation is being done and will be done for them, so they can just move right in and take things down, clean it up, and get the restoration done by the end of the year.
And this, I believe this is the one we talked about, that the bid is quite a bit lower than the rest, but to your point, we've used them before. They're highly recommended,
Yep.
well vetted, so we're
he's
fairly confident with their numbers.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yes, they are.
Any questions? Entertain a motion to award the contract for demolition services at 111 and 115 South River Street to the most responsive and responsible bidder, A1 Fowler Incorporated, in the amount of $29,400.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Riley, second by Dorsey. Please call the roll.
Riley,
Aye.
Dorsey,
Aye.
Gray, absent, Callahan, absent, Tillman.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I'll
Thank
be on
you.
the phone with them tomorrow.
Item number 14C, IAPD Member Credentials Annual Meeting Designations.
Okay, so really whoever's not here is. I know that's.
You show up at every October meeting.
I think we should have the tagline, if you're not there, you're the chair.
Very good. There you go.
All right, write that in there.
So this annual meeting is always held during the state conference in January, and it's held on Saturday afternoon.
Well, I think is it funny that there's two people that aren't here and we need two names? I don't know if it's funny or not.
I think they planned it.
And ultimate decision is yours. I am not making any recommendations. I was just poking fun.
Does anybody want to volunteer, or do we want to volunteer others?
I would like to make a motion to volunteer Tara Gray and President Callahan.
So we need to have one delegate and one alternate.
Yeah, so if that's what we're going with, let's just entertain a motion to appoint Commissioner Gray as the designee and Commissioner Callahan as the alternate to represent the Batavia Park District as voting members during the annual meeting of Illinois Association of Park Districts.
So moved.
Second.
See, here's the beautiful part, is all I did was read the motion. See what I'm saying? So I'm off the hook.
As part of the discussion, I'd like to hear your comments.
Sure. I think it's a wonderful idea for you guys to have approved this motion.
All right, we take your lead as the
there is a motion.
Commissioner.
I feel like they're a great representation.
I think that'd be perfect. Motion by Dorsey, second by Riley.
You know they're going to watch this back.
Sure. And again, remember, all I did was read the thing, just so you know.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Exactly. So, please call the roll.
Dorsey,
Aye.
Riley,
Aye.
Could you speak up? We need to hear that.
Gray, absent, Callahan,
Under
absent.
duress, aye.
No.
You could abstain.
Motion carries. It doesn't? It doesn't? Because we have a quorum now. It's-
No, under the Open Meetings Act, any motion that require, when you only have 3 people present.
We have to have unanimous?
You have to have. it has
I was
to-
not aware of that. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that,
Yeah,
so.
I was this whole time. That's why I said yes.
So you would have left them off the hook.
I would like to open this, that the motion has not carried yet, and so I am changing my vote to an aye, and therefore the motion will carry. There you go.
Jim, does that suffice?
It's just fine.
Okay.
They twisted your arm.
It didn't take much. Okay. Item number 14D, tentative budget amendment to ordinance number 379.
Really? I got to follow that with a budget?
Yeah. Yes, you do.
So this is kind of an extraordinary situation we find ourselves in. I want to start just saying, this is no indication of mismanagement. This has no implication on our operating budget, unrestricted capital funds, or tax dollars whatsoever. What had happened here is the Park District has received some donations for a very specific purpose. At the time of the original budget and appropriation ordinance in January, we didn't have anything planned of that nature.
Purchasing properties.
Correct. Opportunities came along, we exercised funds for those, and because they were sizable purchases, they were enough to take us over projected expenditures. So we have our working budget and appropriation ordinance with the county. That's our legal authority to spend money. There's a buffer between the two for any sort of contingencies. Normally, that's just fine to carry us through the year. These were large purchases, so they're taking us above that original appropriation. Or the ordinance, the draft ordinance presented to you guys tonight is to amend that original appropriation amount. You can't vote on it tonight. It has to be out for 30 days for public inspection, but we can have a hearing at the November meeting.
But I want to also, for clarity, there was, this is the donation, right? So we had a benefactor who donated for the sole purpose of making these large purchases, and we're essentially moving that money into this fund to allow those purchases to happen, correct? This isn't, to your point, this isn't any mismanagement or anything. This is just a reallocation of taking advantage of doing exactly what the benefactor asked us to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for the public's benefit, these are not tax dollars we're talking about.
Right. This is a private donation that was given. So, thank you. So this will come up, you say, next month?
It's available. It's available for public review starting tomorrow. It'll be available for 30 days. We'll have a hearing at the November meeting, and the board can vote on it then.
Okay, great. Thank you. Item number 14E, approval of proposed new pay grades.
Yes, earlier this evening, HR Source provided an overview of the full-time compensation study, and the board is being asked to approve the proposed pay grades tonight.
And there's a bunch of them identified here based on that. So entertain a motion to approve the proposed pay grades for full-time personnel as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dorsey, second by Riley. Please call the roll.
Dorsey?
Aye.
Riley?
Aye.
Gray absent, Callahan absent, Tillman.
Aye, motion carries. Ready. Number 15, Fox Valley Special Rec.
Actually, we have had a lot of executive sessions and just a lot of consent agendas or consent items approved, and nothing to report right now other than Northern Nights and Tree Lights is just around the corner. So I will send the board an invite and would ask that you consider going to it. It's a great event. It's a huge fundraiser for Fox Valley Special Rec, and just an opportunity to really network with the other park districts that are part of it as well.
Excellent, thank you. Item number 16, Batavia Parks Foundation.
So we had our bi-monthly meeting yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. Everything from the Bulldogs Unleashed went off without a hitch. We appreciate everything that Steve and the other Batavia Parks Foundation board members have done, but also they spoke very highly of Eric and his team and all the work that they put in. You're like Superman. We've had a lot of people today.
Right.
Another person.
Another legend.
Yeah, I mean, all the work that staff and the foundation, as well as the school district and the library, it really does take a community to put together an event like this and have it be successful. So hats off to everybody involved and those that were passively involved, whether it's taking pictures of dogs or spreading the word about Bulldogs Unleashed. It's something for our community to be proud of. That being said, the Batavia Parks Foundation would like to meet with all of us within the next 30-ish days so that we can sit down and talk about how we can use them as an asset to kind of further extend the reach of the Batavia Parks.
Yeah.
Would you like my help with doodle pulling?
Yes, please.
Well, for a one-time only, though. I won't send more than one doodle pull
Thank you. And just look for my special moniker. You'll,
Commissioner.
yes, you'll see
I
it.
will.
Excellent, that's it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
that's all.
Thank you. Item number 17, executive session to discuss 2C11. So I need to make sure I do this right. So we are not expected to have any other business coming before the board after executive session. So we need to vote to go into executive session first or wrap it up first. So entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss item number 2C11.
So moved.
Second.
Call a roll. Do we do a roll call for that? Yeah, call a roll, please.
Dorsey?
Aye.
Riley?
Aye.
Bright absent, Callahan absent, Tillman.
Aye, we are in executive session, and we will talk to all of you next month. Thank you.
Staff, you are dismissed unless you'd like to stay. You're always welcome to stay for